Michelle Obama has gotten into the podcasting scene, and it seems she's no Oprah Winfrey. Today, we're talking about just how much Joe Rogan is defeating anyone and everyone trying to make a change when it comes to the left getting into the new media. Folks, you won't believe how bad it is. It looks like the former First Lady cannot even compete with Valiant Renegade. And yes, we know he's a big deal. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a joy as ever to be joined with you. Thank you for inviting us into your day and onto your device. An attitude of gratitude right here every single time you decide to spend time with us. Folks, we only ask one further thing, and that is that you click the like button, and we'll get underway with another video of excellence right now. Now, let's go to Newsweek real quick, folks. It says Michelle Obama podcast ratings compared to Joe Rogan's. This is from March 13th, but I want you to see that they are in the process of making sure that they land ashore of the new media. It says former First Lady Michelle Obama's new podcast with her brother Craig Robinson, titled In My Opinion, that's IMO, with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, dropped its first 2 episodes on Wednesday. This is how its views so far compare with that of Joe Rogan. All right, let me just say, not well, okay? There they are on the left, Michelle Obama, on the right, Joe Rogan. According to Backlino, 47% of the U.S. population from age 12 and above listen to a podcast at least once a month with YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. More than 70 million people listen to podcasts in 2023. That's why they're trying to get there as fast as they can. We should also say that Barack Obama was very, very astute in how he handled the internet when he was a rising politician, and it largely delivered for him. It's kind of shocking to me today that the Democrats were behind the Republicans in terms of podcasts. But here is how it's going so far. Michelle Obama's podcast debuted this week. Data from Spotify and Apple Podcasts is not yet available for the show. However, the views that it received on YouTube are public, providing a snapshot into its listenership. And I'm here to tell you, they don't like that. But it is the good thing about YouTube that we really need to praise YouTube for. When you see those dislikes, and it takes a little work to get those, but when you see those dislikes for Snow White, it clearly had an effect. That's because somehow, some way, we can get them out of YouTube. And the public viewership numbers really matter. The podcast's first episode on YouTube received 43,000 views as of press time, while the second, which featured an interview with Issa Rae, has received 14,000 views. In contrast, the most recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience received 750,000 views as of press time, a much higher viewership. And I would say that probably you should go back and get about the 5th most recent episode so that the viewership has stopped at that point. Getting the most recent often means that it was within hours. And I think Joe Rogan typically gets millions of views per episode. Now, what this means, folks, is that Michelle Obama, who is one of the first individuals in the upper echelon of the left moving into podcasts and into the new media, she's getting less views on YouTube than we do. And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. I'm here to give you a sense of scale. Michelle Obama clearly is a far better and well-known individual than anybody here on this panel. Yet in the new media, it is a place of meritocracy. And while I believe that Michelle Obama is incredibly talented and she will find a listening base out there, it turns out that maybe the legacy media, that they were picking winners and losers to a great degree. And that still tends to happen. If we go to the Spotify list right now, you're going to notice that Spotify has IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson at number 3 under Joe Rogan, but we have no numbers. We have no idea. Is it close? Is it not? Are these real? Are they not? Panel, I want to go to you for a few thoughts when it comes to the idea that Michelle Obama debuted her podcast and picked up 40,000 views. Do you view that as positive, negative? And given what we know now about why they're doing this, what it is they're attempting to do, which is stake a part of the ground in new media, do you think that they'll be able to replicate the success the right has had?
No, I don't think they'll be able to replicate that for one simple reason. The left still watches the legacy access media because it's made for them. It tells them what they want to hear. The reason why the right moved to the new media was because they realized they were being lied to, and they wanted to seek out alternative voices. The left is being told exactly what it wants to hear via the access media, and so it's just going to keep supporting the access media. I think that's why you're seeing even somebody like Michelle Obama, not dominating the ratings specific, in a situation like this. I think it's got to be the fact that the left has no reason to look for alternative media.
True. I would agree with Marvin on that one completely. Like, for example, if you look at Brett Cooper, who just started her own new channel, I'm fairly sure her views are a few more than Michelle Obama's. I haven't looked lately, but from what I saw, it looked like she was getting at least millions of subscribers. But Marvin's right about why the right typically dominates the new media is because it's a voice for the voiceless. And I think this kind of goes all the way back to maybe Rush Limbaugh. But it's when you watch when you watch CNN, when you watch MSNBC, when you watch the typical media on TV, the legacy media, dinosaur media, what have you, whatever they call it, it literally, you can almost change the channel and the script is exactly the same. And it just feels like literal programming, what they want you to hear, rather than, hey, what's the actual truth? I think a lot of it was revealed in the year 2020, when a lot of things changed. I saw a lot of people that were normally on the left kind of start to question a lot of things that came out, but it's still there. And they kind of tried to erase that, go back to what they had worked for them at all times. And it just doesn't seem to work for the left. I remember, what's the actor's name? Why is it the one who used to impersonate Trump on Saturday Night Live, the famous actor? Alec Baldwin. He tried to do a radio show and it just tanked. And that was, I think, a decade ago. They don't know how to do it either. I think that was
I was about to say that. Like, remember Brie Larson and her YouTube channel?
I had forgot about that.
It's like these guys think they could just jump into any environment and they're going to be fine. Like, oh, I can go and do a podcast. Look, it can't be too hard, and then they bomb out because it's not a one-to-one translation. Just because you might be a good politician doesn't mean you're going to be a good podcaster, and vice versa. You actually need the skill to do this. This isn't something that anybody can just pick up and do. But a lot of these guys think that, I can just jump into something and I'll be good at it. Or I will have an audience that will follow me from here to here simply because of who I am. Because I'm Michelle Obama, I'll have a big audience, and a lot of people will just show up and listen just because. It's similar to the how they cast actors based on their Instagram followers. It's like, oh, you got this big Instagram following right here over here with this actor. Well, surely that means we're going to see a whole lot of box office coming out of this person when they do a movie. And it's the opposite. Look at Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler did Y2K, bombed, but she has a big Instagram following, right? So just because you are good at this doesn't mean you're going to be good at that. Just because you have a lot of followers here doesn't mean that these followers are going to follow you over to the new platform. So, I think it was just, a silly idea. I don't know if Michelle Obama is. I mean, maybe she'll stick with it and find her footing and find her audience. That could happen. But, I mean, off the bat, it just looks bad. It's a really, really, really bad look.
40,000 views for the former first lady. That's rough.
Yeah. Muted culture.
You're muted. Get in here, culture. Unmutify and hop in.
Sorry. I was trying to add, I was complimenting Derek because he was killing it. But no, I mean, he's right. Notoriety does not translate into viewership. It just doesn't. And I don't, and you're right. I mean, the Instagram bologna sausage doesn't translate into an audience. It doesn't. And I take offense at what Pro said. Michelle Obama is not incredibly talented. With what would you say that? I could not believe you said that while you were referencing the article. What is she talented at?
Culture,
Tell me.
I'm going to be as magnanimous as I can be and as fair to both sides as I possibly can.
Right, well,
here's the deal, culture.
Yeah.
I think to your point, there's going to be pressure now on the new media. There's going to be pressure put
not on the new media
from the left on YouTube, on Spotify, on all of these places. Now that they really can't do anything with X, but there's going to be pressure put to hide the data. get it out of the public sphere, because it looks bad when a former first lady gets 40,000 views, and that's roughly 1/15 or less than what Joe Rogan's doing.
And then the moment that they tried to do this with the downvotes, that you referenced that, and how we have to do like several steps to get around the bologna sauces they put in place there. Access to the API is limited now. So when you try to figure out what got disliked or to what extent, while I'm sure we were very close in those numbers, they aren't exact. They used to be. Why did they start hiding the downvotes? Because of Disney. Disney threw a royal stink. They were getting their butts whipped and absolutely destroyed with downvotes. And they didn't want that. The audience, the broad audience that was even paying attention to what they were putting out, they did not want the audience to be able to like try to influence them in making better things.
Well, so wait a minute, culture. Yeah. I heard that it was Russian bots that were determined to destroy the Star Wars and make all of Americans have to hate each other because of the Star Wars.
Yeah. You've been listening to Hillary.
They were trying to save us, culture.
You've been listening to Hillary Clinton, but I'm going to put it this way, because Ron did something I appreciated, which he referenced somebody who got just absolutely just wrecked by her previous engagement. Her name's Brett Cooper, and she overcame the perhaps poor way she was treated. Someday I could work for, those guys over at the Daily Wire, but probably not. But if you take a look at it, she's got a video in the last 4 days. It's almost 1 million views from one of her shows. Okay. So when you look at what she is exactly what you need to be, a podcaster. She's one of the best of the bunch. And so when you think about her, she rose to the top. Could there be somebody on the left that could rise up and not look ridiculous and have to talk about, human sexuality stuff half the time just to get an audience? Sure. But I haven't seen one yet. Okay. And you look at somebody like Brett Cooper, who, a lot of people on the left might call very milquetoasty, but she's representative of the majority of Americans. She just is.
But culture, this is why the left is going to make a push. And I'm not trying to be political. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong.
No, absolutely.
I'm just saying the left is going to make a push because Brett Cooper she's actually reaching the young people. What did Rasmussen polling show? Rasmussen polling showed that the young people are breaking to the right all of a sudden. Brett Cooper has 1.5 million subscribers. Meanwhile, Michelle Obama has 37,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is not going to be allowed by the forces that be. They're not going to go down like this. They're going to fight for it.
Well, no shade on her viewers, her subscribers, because I don't have that many. Okay, I'm getting there, but I
a feud between Culture Casino and Michelle Obama.
I think there is now. I think my rival is now the former first person. Okay, and now my rival, is definitely the former first person there. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is a limited time stunt. Just like somebody referred to Brie Larson, my friends, this is a desperation move to move into new media. If it continues to be revealed like this, and it will be, what would they have? What would YouTube have to do to hide the fact that it's not popular? Or it is as a percentage to what Joe Rogan is? You can't immediately compare yourself to the champ. What are you, Rocky? No, you gotta start at the bottom like Rocky and work your way up. And so it's kind of an unfair comparison from the very beginning, but at the same time, it's proof positive that notoriety does not translate into views. It just doesn't, and it won't ever.
I got to get this on the screen. Muck006 says they do have podcasters. H3H3, Ethan Klein, for example. We could add more. I could say Pod Save America. You could add the Young Turk, etc.
Is he liberal or is he just insane?
He's okay. Ethan's insane, but he's actually turning the corner on stuff because he's been going to war with that Hassan, whatever.
That's why, culture. That's why they're putting people like Michelle Obama into the podcasting space.
Yeah, well, that's not working. We don't want political persons. I have to be careful.
I agree, but they don't have water carriers. They don't have people that they can depend on to give the message every single day without straying away from it. So they've got to get their Mount Rushmore figures out of the top echelon of the left into this space. It may not work, but we just watched CNN and what they had to say. Now, I want to go real quick, folks. I want to show you what how this is being treated internationally. And we're going to get out of the U.S. for a minute. This is from Sky News Australia. They're talking about this. I want to show it to you. Here's what they have to say about Michelle Obama, the podcast situation, and the fact that it's a little painful.
Finally, I need to speak to you about what some Democrats are up to. Some of them are taking up podcasting. Former First Lady Michelle Obama has launched a podcast with her brother, Craig Robinson, titled IMO, and it's not off to a strong start. She's reached 37,000 subscribers, which is not a lot. I'm actually surprised the number is that low. Of course, we'll wait and see where it goes, but this is just a taste of one of the episodes.
On television, playing and doing a text like, she's not gonna be good. Like she doesn't need this right now.
Now we're going to stop it there because we don't want to get any kind of claim against us. Sky News has a bit more cachet, I would say, when it comes to what they can get away with. We're not going to go there, but I just want to say there's a danger in figures who are already perceived as being incredibly popular in going to platforms where the numbers can be known. Jonas, is that your thought on this as well? Do you see anywhere, any way that they can get in? Maybe Spotify's the answer. Maybe places where they don't give the numbers away is the answer for how they can do this.
Here's the thing, and I've worked with social media companies in the past. I've worked with people who think that they're going to have a successful campaign with an influencer, and they see the follower count. And what they don't end up doing is looking at the actual engagement of those followers. This is a kind of a random example, but when I'm doing my news, my searching for stories, I'll usually check Deadline. If you check Deadline on Saturday morning, there will be 10 stories about Saturday Night Live, despite the fact that that show is really not that popular, other than the fact that it exists in a time slot that no one else is competing with them for. So I would say that putting Michelle Obama in this space is kind of like when Netflix pays for the Meghan Markle stuff. That there is a very niche audience that is geographically very close to the people who make decisions about this, that in that circle, they might be popular. But outside of that, in the rest of the world, this is a very niche idea. What if we did a podcast from the perspective of a former, several presidents removed wife? That does not sound like an interesting idea for a podcast in any way. The only thing that I could imagine right now, as far as wives of presidents at this point, would be if Melania Trump did one, because I imagine she would be an absolute savage on a podcast.
I don't think people would be
ready for that.
Let me toss this to the panel so that we're well aligned with reality. There is someone out there. Somebody out there on the left is the darling personality, but I don't think they've been found yet. I don't think that Harry Sisson is going to come riding in to save the day on the left, on social media. But there's somebody out there. There's a Jon Stewart for a new generation. And so that's going to happen. I don't want people to walk away from this and think, well, Pro is saying that the new media will always be dominated completely by the right. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that whereas the left was extremely effective in taking over Facebook, Instagram, etc., the right was on the right path when it came to getting ahead of the game in podcasting. Joe Rogan, of course, didn't even know he was on the right. The political landscape just shifted underneath him and dropped him on the right side. And he's like, wait a minute, I thought I was a crazy Bernie Sanders lefty. No, not today. Not anymore, Joe. Sorry. Things move so far to the left that you're on the right now. Ron, go ahead, Culture. Then we'll
I was just going to say the larger point there, and this is really quick, is that the people that are aligned now that are actually running the country that are supposedly MAGA are New York Democrats. That's what you've got, and they've basically gone so far to one extreme. They've lost what would have been the heart of the party, the big donors, the movers and shakers, the pushers of the what used to be liberal thoughts like free speech, things like that.
Absolutely.
Pro, you mentioned a star who could come along like this. The one that comes to my mind is a Bill Maher. I don't know how to pronounce his name very well, but he's very much liberal on the leftist. But when I listen to him, at least he sounds intelligent. He's willing to sit down and talk to people who are completely the opposite of him, and they actually have some intelligent discussions. One of my favorites was a back and forth between him and Zachary Levi, and that style that he does that in, where he's like, he's just couched back, he's in his chair, they're smoking cigars. Bill Maher is talented in that way, in that he actually adopts some of the way the right presents itself. He's very, very good at that. But he's like the only one that I can think of. And he also realizes when things on the left go way too far, and it doesn't touch base with the average American or just the average person in society, that can think for themselves. So it could happen. I think there's many, many more voices on the other side that are out there already doing it. And when you have your Megyn Kellys, your Brett Coopers, your people like that, it's going to be very, very difficult to compete with that in a very, very broad market.
Very well said. For now, folks, we'll leave it at this. Joe Rogan is outperforming the former First Lady by something like 15 times over. And until they figure out a way to find that personality that will win over audiences, the right is going to continue dominating new media, despite some in the new media not being happy about it at all. And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back for is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.